Right, I'm delighted to be joined by Action Jackson England. You've got a massive fight coming up. I want to go through your entire career, and I think the perfect place to kick this off. You're just coming off a massive win over Jamel Herring, former world champion. So tell me all about that one. What was it like to share the ring with Jamel?
Oh, it's phenomenal, like to be able to have that opportunity against someone like Jamel is almost a bit starstruck, like because I remember 2 years prior to having that opportunity to fight Jamel, I was watching him fight Carl Frampton, and even before he fought Shakur Stevenson, I was looking at him, and in my eyes, he was one of the top dogs in the super featherweight division, and being able to have the opportunity to fight him, let alone back then thinking to myself, like, oh, I'd love to share the ring with him. I'd love to have the opportunity to fight for the world title or even be at some stage in my career and have a shot at fighting someone like him. And the stars aligned and we ended up fighting, and to share the ring with someone like him who's so cagey and is really a world-class fighter, I was over the moon. I was so, so grateful to get that opportunity and to win as well.
Yeah, it was truly a tremendous victory for you. And he's not the only legend you've been in the ring with, because I know you've done a lot of sparring with George Kambosos. Can you tell me all about that? Can you remember the first time you ever sparred him, how the rounds went?
Oh yeah, very well. He's another world class fighter, and again for the opportunity to be able to spar him, George is a good friend of mine, and to see him conquer and beat Teofimo Lopez and be the undisputed world champion, in my eyes he's one of the biggest things in Australian boxing. But I still remember that first day going in the gym and the feeling of what's going to happen here. How's the sparring going to work? Is he going to spar someone else first? Is he going to spar me first? Like what's the thing? And they had me there to mimic Haney, and I'm not Devin Haney. Devin Haney's a great boxer himself and he's a great fighter, but I was there to mimic and to do what I could do from my outpoint as well, and give George the work. And I still remember he came at me like a bull in a china shop. He come at me to show me that he is at that top level, and that's what helped. I guess that's what helped me prep to, get to those levels, to fight people like Jamel Herring and to be in the position I'm at now, and to go even further. It showed me where the top level is in the boxing world, and he's definitely there. He's 100% there.
Yeah, it's great to see your journey and how well you're doing. And it feels like you're always destined for success because fighting was in your blood. I believe your granddad was involved in tent fighting. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, it was only from maybe the age of 15, 16 that I found out a little bit more about the family history. But yeah, my grandfather was a really credible and great tent fighter, and same with the other side of the family, with the uncles and my other family member on that side, so the Thornberrys and McIvers. But yeah, my grandfather Errol McIver, he was a great 10 fighter, bare knuckle and boxing. I think he was in the top 10 in the light middleweights in Australia at the time, from sanctioned fights. And the stories you'd hear from people in Sydney or people all around of how not only how tough he was, but how great of a fighter he was. And I love hearing those stories, and I see all the old black and white photos, and I see all the things he used to write, and all the stuff that he did. And it makes me very grateful to come from good stock like that and to have that sort of backing as well.
Absolutely. And it's interesting in your family because obviously you could have gone down the dancing route. So can you tell me a little bit
Yes.
about that? Can you tell me about your journey? And in terms of somebody like Vasily Lomachenko, I think he started with Ukrainian traditional dance. So how much does it impact your boxing having that footwork?
Um, Massively. Like I think rhythm and dance came very natural for me, even as a young kid. I was absolutely obsessed with all that era of the 80s hip hop and all that dance genre. And I still am to this day. Like there's not a day that goes by where I don't dance and I don't do anything. But going down that road, I'm pretty safe to say that I early in my professional boxing career, I was able to go down the route and dance as well. More in the exclusive side of things when I come to say about it. But when you got to try and make money while fighting and be in those early days, it made sense. Like if I could dance, perform, and if I had to get my kid off as well and then fight a couple of weeks later, it just made sense. But I've always loved to perform, and fighting to me is another form of dancing and another form of performing, because not only am I going out there to showcase my ability and my skill, but I'm also going there to put on a show for the public and for myself as well.
You mentioned there having to make money and how the start of boxing, as it is for so many fighters, can be quite difficult. And I believe that you at points were sleeping in a storeroom in the gym. So can you tell me about this journey you've been on and how you feel to be in the position you are right now?
Yeah, I still hold it against my coach for kicking me out of that storeroom. I needed that storeroom at that time. But in order to be in the position I'm at now, like that's again a part of the journey, and I laugh about it all the time. Of me driving at 3 in the morning to go train, and I'd train three times a day up there, and then I'd drive all the way home, an hour home. Sometimes I catch the train and then run to the gym. Even when I started in the storeroom, so I was in the storeroom on a tiny little mattress in a cobwebbed, dusty storeroom, and it had old gym equipment in it, and it was tiny. It was maybe as small as it was a legitimate storeroom, and maybe it was 2 weeks out from a fight or a week out from a fight, and he come in and goes, "Oh, you need to move your mattress. You need to get out." And I said, "I'm like, I'm teaching classes here while training, while doing stuff." I said, "I can't. Where am I? Where do I go? I'm going to go home again." And he just laughed and he said, "I've got to turn this into an office now." And I remember we had me and my mum had to come and pick the mattress up and put it on the top of the car, and it was a big mission. But I still trained that night, and we fought 4 days later. So it was again, it was all fun at thinking about how fun it was and how dedicated I am to this sport. Like no matter how much I love the sport, it will never love me back. But that's the game we play. It is. It's the game we play.
I mean, it's crazy to think that at one point you were in a storeroom and now you're ranked in the IBF, you're ranked in the WBO, and I believe the IBF title is vacant at the moment. I think, but the WBO, Emanuel Navarrete, a fantastic champion. How do you think you match up with him? Because that fight could happen at any time now.
Oh, I'd love that fight. You know, if they gave me a call tomorrow to fight Navarrete, or even because Anthony Kakachi just vacated the title as well, and he's fighting Lee Wood for the IBO. Like anybody in the IBF that have that opportunity to be able to fight for that title, or again with Navarrete, I'm putting my hand up for. You know, even any of the other guys. Like after Lamont Roach fights Tank, and however that fight goes, he's got to defend his WBA title. I'm there for that as well. Same with Ashaki Foster. I've put my hand up for all these guys, and it's not out of disrespect. It's out of respect, and the fact that I know that they're great champions, and I believe I've got the ability and the skill set and the drive and the passion to be able to be there as well.
Absolutely. And you are on the cusp of cementing yourself within this Australian circle of great fighters. I think there's one fight in particular where you're at the weigh-in and Danny Green's behind you. What's it like to be involved with these Australian guys and you essentially becoming one of them?
Oh, that's a really kind thing to say as well.
You're
That
welcome.
means a lot. I I'm very much almost in that imposter syndrome aspect. I'm very simple. I'm very blessed and lucky for the things I've got in my life. You know, my two beautiful sons, a beautiful partner, a beautiful family, and support around me. And to be around the likes of Danny Green, even been mixing around with Anthony Mundine, and like getting the chance to meet Jeff Fennick, and all these great Australian fighters, even Barry Michael. I can't tell you enough how much I love Barry Michael, and to be in the presence of these great fighters, I'm like I've got no words because they're phenomenal people, and most people get the stigma of fighters are fighters, and yeah, it's all thing and the sportsmen and yeah, but no one seems to think about who they are as individuals, outside of boxing, and to cement myself with people like that and have them support me and enjoy my company. I'm really lucky. I never thought I'd be hanging around with Danny Green and him asking me questions and coming into my dressing room and talking to me before I fight and having a conversation in a bus with him and just casual. He's a formidable champion, and he's an amazing fella. And his son's only his son's going to be 15 or maybe 16. I can't remember, but his son's going to be an absolute weapon one day. He's a weapon now, but his son's a beast. And I remember watching him train and doing stuff, and he's a beast. He's going to be a good little fighter one day.
Yeah, and you mentioned your sons there. Do they prefer the boxing or the dancing?
At the end of the day, whatever they choose, if they want to fight, they want to dance, they want to be accountants, they want to do anything they want to do, I'm there 100% to support them and to help and show them that they can chase their dreams. If they turn around to me when they get to 10, 11 years old and they want to pursue a sport, they want to pursue football, dance, and boxing and stuff, like it's entirely up to them, but they've got to know how hard you got to work for it because, talent can only get you by so far. You got to be able to have that ticket to be able to continue on. Like I was blessed from my father to have good natural ability, but you've got to be able to back that with work ethic as well and heart. And I'm very lucky to be able to learn those lessons early as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we've touched on your journey from the dancing to fighting Jamel Herring and all these crazy things you've done. What do you think is the craziest story you've had from your boxing career so far?
Ooh, the craziest one would probably be. I think there's maybe two that get up there with that. I think there'd be one. I think if I was to say one, it'd be after I won the Australian title. It was about a week later. I ended up finding out that I had a very severe appendix issue. Maybe it wasn't that big a deal, but it actually had moved up my body over time and wrapped around my liver like a sausage. And it was about that long. And from appendix being only yay big, it actually stretched and got bigger and wrapped around my liver, and it was borderline about to burst. And I remember a week later, I went for a run. I did something. It was pretty hot over here, and yeah, my body just went into full shock, and it was borderline about to burst. So that was that little thing. But I went training in Thailand for 2 weeks. I went training in New Zealand for a week. Coming back here, fighting with the Australian title, and the whole time that was there, ready to rupture. But I had absolutely no idea, and it wasn't until a week later my body actually finally gave me the clear that, oh, hey, something's not right here. So that's one. I'll never forget that one. And then two would probably be um, we were in London actually, me,
Right,
my
okay.
coach, and Lucas Browne, um, and we actually went to watch Dillian White fight Rivez as well while we were there at the O2 Arena. This was years ago, and we were meant to fight at York Hall on a promotion there. And unfortunately, the promotion didn't happen. It was maybe 2 or 3 days out, and the whole thing fell apart, unfortunately. And all of us were stranded in London. So we didn't know what to do. And I remember being in such a beautiful place and being somewhere where, on my mum's side, family had come over from England, and we went to places around there that I had some family on that side, and I was loving it over there. I was so excited to fight at the Great York Hall, and then 2 3 days out, getting told in the morning, oh, nothing's happening now. Even Lucas was like dumbfounded. He just woke up and he's got told nothing's happening, and he was meant to fight Tom Little. That's right. And I remember we were stranded in the UK and we couldn't do anything. And I was just doing what I was told. I was just like there as I would have been maybe 20, 22, 23 at the time. And I was just doing what I was told. I was just like, okay, look, I'm stranded here. I don't know what to do. My own parents flew over from here as well, and they were there. So they come to watch the fights. I'd a family member come over as well, and he was from Scotland originally, so he just decided, okay, well, I'm just going to go see my parents in Scotland now. But I had so many people come over to watch the fight and be here, and this whole big fiasco happened, and it was, yeah, that was probably a very memorable point there. And then I had a few drinks in London, and I'm very much not a drinker. So you can blame Lucas and my coach for that. They kind of wanted to let loose a little bit. But no, I'm not a drinker, so any bit of alcohol in me, I go to sleep, and yeah, it was just too much. But I give me a dance floor and I'll dance all night. That's fine. I'll do that sober. I'll do that sober.
And I imagine you'll be dancing when you pick up another victory. Tell me about this fight, because I know there's been a late switch of opponent. What sort of statement are you expecting to put on it?
Oh, I'm going to put on a clinic. Like even from the fights I've had with Jamel Herring, and Jamel Herring, credible again, former world champion. He made it very hard in that fight, not from a fight perspective, but he gave it a hard perspective on caginess and being really hard to read, and very much didn't want to engage, but wanted to work where he wanted to work. So he wanted to make me make mistakes for him. But I'm very lucky that he even gave me props on that point about with me being a good fighter as well. I was actually a few people gave me props on being using my boxing IQ as well, because it was a chess match between us both. And then obviously I fought Nor Beauchamp in the last fight. And yeah, the plan was to go out there and just box my fight and not chase a stoppage. But if it's there, we take the opportunity, we'll take it. And I guess the same opportunity or the same sort of mindset is in with this guy. And it's unfortunate. We've had three different replacements now. We had the first guy, then we had the guy that was meant to be there, who was a really good veteran Filipino, and then we've got who we've got now, and he's a tough veteran as well, and he's been in there. He's got a mix up with both wins, both losses, and he'll come to fight. So I'm expecting, if not the nothing but the best from him, but I'm also coming to make sure I get that win and to put on a great show for all the Sydney family I've got there in Western Sydney.
Jackson, thank you so much for giving me some time. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the luck in the world for the fight. But before I let you go, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I'd just like to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be on this platform and to, ask me questions and be here. I'm very grateful. Thank you.